Yes, good evening, Albert JTV community. Weekly surgery time, episode 43 on a Thursday evening. But before we get into it with my esteemed guests, stroke Arsenal brothers, let's smash the weekly surgery intro. Footballing community, waiting time is now over. The Albert JTV practice is now open. The surgery required is Premier League talk and any other business. Let's get to work. Welcome to the weekly surgery. And there you have it, people. Welcome back, man. Now, you're not seeing things, people. I'm actually doing a stream before 6 o'clock. A half day at work. But yeah, I make it happen, man. But I thought, you know what? It's about time I spoke about Arsenal. I would say a good YouTube time hour in the Albert JTV household. People, smash the like buttons on the way in or when you watch it back on the catch up. And we've got an audio as well, so please look out for that. It will go on Spotify and Apple and wherever you get your downloads. Now, I've got two special guests. Firstly, I'm going to introduce my brother from another mother from day one from YouTube. He's been away, but when he does his content, is banging. And congratulations on 4,000 subs and over 1 million views, I believe. I got that right, JC, on your channel?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, welcome back, bro.
Well, thanks for the incredible intro, firstly. And as you say, it's nice to be back. Thanks for having me on. And seems strange now when you say from day dot. It was over 4 years ago, I think, we started doing this.
Easy.
So to say that we're still doing this now, we're either crazy or we're doing something right. But either way, thanks for having me on. And really looking forward to today.
No, of course, I have to get you back on, man. It's been a long time, man. Love you to pieces, man. And of course, I call this guy, he's my older brother. I call him the Kevin Samuels of football, man, the Nigerian godfather, Kenny Ken. Kenny Ken, welcome back, brother. Ken, you got mute.
Nice to be back. It's nice to be back, doing something. Last time we did something like this, we talk every day, was I was in a hotel in Lowry in Manchester because I was watching the boxing with the family, and I was coming. I went down to breakfast. Said before I go to breakfast, let's do something. My guy Albert. So yeah, and all we could see, mind you, what Albert didn't know because I've had all this background was I had a crowd of Man United fans around me, and they're from all over the world because it was a Manchester derby.
It was.
You could just imagine, I had Dutch Man United fans, Austrian Man United fans, Man United fans from Philadelphia, from the West Coast. Who says Man United's a wash club?
They're not.
They haven't got a clue. It's still the biggest club in the country.
No, well said, man. People, before we tuck into it, JC's got his channel, Arsenal Analyzed. The link is in the title and it's also in the bio, and you'll find the Lord King Kenny Ken on Instagram, where he's doing consistent content on there. His Instagram handle is in the bio. So let's get started. I'm coming to JC first, man, because it's been too long. I was thinking the best way to do this. I haven't got you guys for long, but Champions League, we'll start with that. 4-0 win on Tuesday. I almost forgot the day, man. I guess the best way I want to sort of phrase it to you, I obviously want to get your thoughts on the game a little bit, but I've had this conversation with Kenny Ken quite a few times and quite a few people in terms of Arsenal being back in the Champions League. And I was concerned, to be honest with you, because when you're out of the elite level competition for the amount of years we was out of, I think it's 7 years, at the time. And I said Arsenal going to have to take quick baby steps in terms of working their way back into that level of competition of football. Quarterfinal, semi-final last season, and going strong this season. It was that eight goals scored, 3 clean sheets. You saw the stats I'm going to put up on the screen. So what have you made of sort of Arsenal being back in the Champions League and touching on the win the other night?
It's been, well, first and foremost, a club like Arsenal with the history that we have, whether we get banter from other clubs or not for our absence in the competition, the club's history speaks for itself. We should be in the Champions League each and every season. And it's nice to be back, ultimately. I I kind of agree with you in the sense that when we returned to the Champions League a few years back, the majority of the players, barring maybe, 2 or 3, had no Champions League experience. So it was kind of like, how long is a piece of string in terms of, how far can this team go? But pleasantly surprised at reaching the quarterfinals at the first time of asking under Arteta, and then one step further the following year. And this season, hopefully now with the group of players that we've got, with the quality and depth that we have, you only have to look at, some of the early injuries that we've sustained, and the type of players that we've been able to bring in to maintain the quality of performance that we have had. So hopefully it does mean that we can go one step further this season and make the Champions League final. And I think when you look back at the game the other night against Atletico Madrid, there were many chances in the first half, very unlucky not to have a goal or two in the first half. But it just goes to show that this group of players really does trust and have confidence in what they're being asked of from Arteta tactically, because 4 goals in 13 minutes, it speaks for itself. And some Arsenal fans, me included, probably a tad greedy and wanting more on the night. And it could well have been 5, 6 or 7, but massive statement win for Arsenal, having scored that many goals and keeping a clean sheet against such a elite European club who have done well in the competition over the last 10, 15 years. And we helped them suffer their joint worst ever defeat in the competition as well, whether that means cold showers or hot showers. But but yeah, those are my thoughts. I thought it was a brilliant way to make a statement against one of the better teams, so to speak.
No, well said. Yes, it's a strange game when it comes to Kenny Ken, because obviously he's at the game. But I enjoyed it as obviously we're Arsenal fans, but as someone that enjoys watching football, I actually thought it was a really, really good first half. I thought we started really well, but I always say it with the Champions League coming to you, Kenny Ken, levels, man, levels. Madrid sort of slowly worked their way back into the game, got a bit more control, looked quite dangerous in terms of getting beyond our backline. But I just wanted to get your thoughts, Kenny Ken, in regards to sort of Arsenal and how we are defensively. Because I look at Mikel when he first came in. Obviously, we brought him in, but he had no managerial experience. But it's turned out in terms of his managing style and his coaching style, he's more under the guise of probably working under Moyes rather than Arsene Wenger. Has it surprised you how good we are defensively, considering some of the defenders we've probably had at the club, to put it polite, in the last 10, 15 years? Ken?
It's funny to say that I think if it was off camera when I was on Dan's channel, we were actually laughing and joking about the defenders we had in the past. Mustafi, Scalacci, Seagan, Shelly, Socrates, those kind of defenders, and you go all the way up to what we got now. I think the thing with Mikel as well is that, David Moyes has been a massive influence on Mikel, just as much of an influence on Mikel as our good friend Guardiola. Guardiola made from a footballing point of view and trying to win the ball back really quickly. But in terms of defensive shape, that is definitely Moyes, especially Arsenal off the ball.
Yeah.
But one thing Arsenal fans need to realise, because they tend to underestimate it, that defence isn't as strong without proper fullbacks. We've now got proper fullbacks. I'm not disrespecting Zinchenko. I'm certainly not disrespecting Marzu Skelly. I'm not disrespecting Ben White. But proof's in the pudding. With Timber in that team, he gives us the defensive structure, especially in order that we can prevent overload, especially coming down our right-hand side. And Calafiori is a baller, and he's an experienced operator. Yes, he's only 23, but you think about his influence for Italy during their short time in 2024 European Championships. All were very sought after. And now he's fully fit. It's a no-brainer in that team. You take those two out of our defence, you're still going to have the strong defensive partnership, but we'll be under more pressure without those influences. You look at Benjamin White. Like it or not, he's better going forward defensively. I always felt that if you had quick feeds against Benjamin White,
20 minutes out.
You can open up a passage where Saliba's dragged out of position, and then you look at Calafiori. He now knows what's required of him. So for me, it's a no-brainer. That's why we've got a really, really good defence. Another thing as well is athletes, very athletic.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah, we talk about
that. And one thing you'll probably find out when you see the English sides in Europe, if you look at last season, it's no coincidence that most of them, if not all of them, got to at least the playoffs. It's because this start of the season we're at our freshest, where our energy levels are really, really high compared to our European counterparts. We take them by surprise. The second half against Atletico was power.
Yeah, it's mad.
Athletic power. And that's what you'll find, that all the English teams have got a very good chance of getting into the top 8 because of that.
No, well said. And you mentioned that. You're right. And if you even look at the Arsenal first goal with Martinelli, we had this conversation, Kenny, when I come to JC, in terms of people get really hooked on the, 2 players for each position. But you look at likes of Calafiori and Miles Lewis-Skelly, complete chalk and cheese. Complete chalk and cheese. Sometimes I don't even know where Calafiori is even playing. But just getting your thoughts on that, JC, but also on a sort of move into Victor Gyökeres. But talk about the defence in terms of what your input is with that.
Yeah, I agree with what Kenny Ken said. It's really a big difference. And this is no disrespect to the likes of the former left backs that we had, or right backs for that matter. But, at the time of signing the likes of, say, a Ben White or a Zinchenko, they were upgrades on what we had at the time, and they helped take Arsenal forward and take that next step. But defensively, it's not where we needed to be in order to challenge for titles, hence why we brought in the likes of Timber and Calafiori, and the delight and surprise of the emergence of Miles Lewis-Skelly. These are the sorts of headaches that Arteta wants, as opposed to the ones that he had when he first joined the club. So from a defensive point of view, I know it's very, very, very cliche, but they say defense wins you championships, they win you trophies, they win you silverware. And, over the last few seasons, barring injuries, had that not have happened, I'm pretty confident that we probably would have had something in the trophy cabinet by now, because this defence at the moment is the best defence in arguably Europe at the minute. I even posted a video the other day on my channel, I think it was 3 or 4 days ago, about Jurrien Timber being the best right back in the Premier League, with all of the stats that you can wave a stick at in order to prove that he is the best in the Premier League at the moment, arguably even Europe for that matter. And when I ask people to bring me names, who's better at the moment at what he does? Because as Kenny Ken said, Ben White, he's great at going forward, but defensively, okay, there's opportunities for the opposition to expose him. Whereas when you look at Jurrien Timber, he's just as good at going forward as he is in 1v1 defending at an elite level. You have to look at the performances against PSG in both legs, and Real Madrid as well. He was marking world-class wingers, and he looked at home, no problem, absolutely no problem at all. So hopefully, fingers crossed, touch wood, this back 4 or back 8, however you want to look at it with squad depth, can keep fit for the remainder of this season.
Yeah, listen, I think some of the Chelsea fans might argue in terms of the right back position, but that's another day, man. But no, listen, Kenny Ken's touching it with some of the defenders we've had at this club. It pains me to even mention their names.
Yes.
But fast forward, what we paid 27 million euros for Gabriel and Saliba each. Mosquera is like 16 million. Miles Lewis-Skelly's part of the academy. So as sometimes you won't get it right in the transfer market, you can bloody get it right also. Timber's been a phenomenon since he's come back from a very, very serious long-term injury. But I mentioned this beginning in the early part of last season. I don't know what Arsenal fans are watching. I said defensively, the positions he takes up are exquisite, and he can play across the entire back line. But JC, come back to you again quickly. Sorry, I want to talk to you about our number 14, Victor Gyökeres, Glock 14, as he's been called. I watched a little segment on CBS when he was talking to Michael Richardson, Carragher, and Dempsey and Thierry Henry. Brilliant to see a bit of personality there with him as well. But
yeah,
I also want to get your thoughts in terms of who was a striker you wanted at Arsenal when the talk was happening at the time? And what have you made of his output thus far?
Well, to answer the first question, I suppose, with regards to who did I want or who did I prefer, it was a tough toss-up between Gyökeres and Sesko, or Chesko, however you pronounce his name. But it was always difficult. I didn't have a preference between the two because for me, firstly, Arsenal just needed a traditional number 9, if you want to call it that, versus what we had in, say, Jesus or Havertz. And, they'd done the job that they needed to do to a degree. However, we didn't have that focal point or a proper focal point moving forwards. And I think the biggest question mark for me with regards to both forwards, and not as a negative, more so as they're moving from what you would call a lesser league, and there needs to be a step up in quality for both of them. So the question mark was always there as to who's going to be able to make that transition the easiest or the quickest. And Gyökeres being more of a ready-made forward given his age, and Sesko someone who could develop with potentially a high ceiling. So I didn't necessarily have a preference. Am I shocked in the way that he started his career at Arsenal? No. And you've got to give players time. Don't get me wrong. Some players, they come to the league, they hit the ground running from day one. They offer you value from day one, which is great, but it doesn't always happen. And Gyökeres, as well as Sesko, are both examples of players that have come to the league for big clubs on big money with high expectations, and they haven't quite hit the ground running yet. But when you look at the performances that Gyökeres has put in, have we got the goal return that we want from him yet? No. Are you looking at his performances off the ball, though? Are you looking at his body language? Are you looking at the runs he's making? Is he working his socks off? And I'm a firm believer that you create your own luck from your own hard work. And the 2 goals that he got against Atletico Madrid were perfect examples. As scrappy as they were, if you put yourself in the right position, if you make those runs, you continue working hard, you will be paid the dividends at the end of it. And I'm hoping now, after I think it was around 600 odd minutes without a goal for Arsenal since his first 2 or 3, this will give him the confidence to now kick on in the Premier League, domestic cup competitions, you name it, to really start getting goals for Arsenal. You only had to look at the bench, I think, on Tuesday night, the sheer delight from Arteta and the coaching staff. Everyone backs him. Everyone wants him to score. Everyone wants him to be successful. So it's now down to him, and the return of Kai Havertz just around the corner should hopefully put not only a bit of pressure on him, but also give him the opportunity to have rotation so that he can have a rest and go again if he needs to.
Oh, well said, JC. I'll make no secret, as Kenny can will vouch. I made no secret I wanted Arsenal to strike.
I know.
Yeah. So listen, Did I think he's going to come to league and smash it straight out the ballpark? No. I'm not stupid. Yes, he's got the robustness of playing in the Championship with Coventry, and he's really, really good. That's how I first saw him and became aware of him. But Kenny, can I bring you in on Big Victor, man? He was there. Listen, he's had some good games, I thought, personally, against Newcastle and Olympiacos. You was there. I want to sort of get your feel in terms of what you saw off the ball. I think it worked out about 9 games. He hadn't scored club and country over 700 minutes. That's a long time without scoring. But what's your thoughts on Big Vic, particularly the other night, Kenny Ken, brother?
Well, I think with Big Vic, I always say with strikers, you go for a goal shout, you're either going to score a 25-yarder or you're going to score the sort of goals he scored on Tuesday. The one, the deflection, and then the one that was off his torso into the net. That's the sort of goals that Victor, you get when you're in a goal trap. But the thing is his work rate is getting better. You've got to remember why I've got you to Gyökeres. He's not a player that can play with his back to goal and hold the ball up and bring players into play. There was a reason why Mikel wanted Sesko, because he wanted the continuity and sometimes hold up positions, get people in the game and have a bit of pace. Goal scoring for Mikel, I believe, is secondary. But with Victor Gyökeres, he is a goal scorer. He has to learn the way we play. It's going to take time for the lad, but the goals will come. But it may not come in the regularity. Who knows? In season 2, season 3, it could be when he's more used to how he play. That's probably when you're going to see a bit more of Victor. But I thought against Atletico is patient. He was patient. We have been trying to get him free. Let's not forget, Odegaard was probably the player we have a better relationship with because Odegaard gets the ball through him quickly so he can make his little runs.
Yeah.
But the thing with Victor as well, I always say with Victor, this isn't Portugal and this isn't, Coventry. You need to shoot early. Shoot early.
Don't get the time.
That we did against Fulham, we shot early. We were just unlucky with some chances. Another one we put over the bar. It's going to happen for Victor. We're a good team. We'll create a lot of chances for Victor, but he has to get used to the fact that he'll make those runs. Doesn't mean the ball's going to get to him because he's got to still make those runs.
Yeah.
Because by making those runs, it frees up Saka, it frees up Martinelli. So don't stop making the runs because you're not getting the ball. You've got to keep on making those runs because it helps the side. But at the end of the day, we talk about goal creation and he's the be all and end all everything in terms of goals. Look, we've got goal scorers as well. Martinelli needs to chip in a few more than he is. Trossard needs to get on the goal sheet. Saka needs to score goals. You know what I mean? Don't worry about penalties, Victor. That's cheat code. Just do what the top strikers in all the years I watched for, very few of them took penalties. Only something new since the Premiership began, when you have strikers now want to be penalty takers. Back in the day, before World Cup 1990, Gary Lineker was not a penalty taker. No. But he became one. Ian Rush never took a penalty. Mm-hmm. Actually, Andy Cole never took a penalty. You know what I mean? They're great goal scorers. You know what I mean? So just remember, it's goals, goals. Don't worry about taking the ball to Saka for a penalty. Saka's a penalty taker. I don't pay you to take penalties. I pay you to, do what you normally do: poaching, bulldozing, shoot on sight. That's what I pay you for.
Yeah. Listen, you make JC and Kenny can make great points. People, smash the likes on the way in, and also, like I said, when you watch this back, smash the likes, and obviously we'll get this on the audio as well. But listen, I was a big fan of Victor Gyökeres. First week of December 2023, so that's the guy I want, man. And Kenny Ken, to coin the phrase Kenny Ken said, he's sort of his running style and the power. It reminds me of Stan Collymore. He gives you that physicality, and if a striker, you need to make the runs, like you said, Kenny Ken. You need to occupy that space in the 18-yard box and the 6-yard area, because at the end of the day, that is your bread and butter as a striker. Where I think we have the edge over Man City a little bit is we got goals by committee, and Gyökeres, hopefully he gets more time and he score more goals. But if Haaland goes on a drought, I'm looking around at City thinking, I'm not sure where the goals are coming from. That's where I think we've got an edge over them. Kenny Ken, coming back to you, brother, talk about one of our new signings. Martin Zubimendi, control the tempo. I was going to say a little bit, then I'll bring you in. I like Zubimendi. He's been touted around at Arsenal for a very, very long time before we got him. I always use the term #control the tempo. Typical Spanish player, 1 touch, 2 touch. Don't get that in England. I actually personally think, you guys might disagree, people watching this back, I think he struggled in a lot of the first half of games in the Premier League because he's got a rude awakening. Away at Old Trafford, Newcastle away, you don't get the time on the ball. But I think in the second half of games, particularly in the Premier League, I think he's been brilliant. I think he's been really, really good. Kenny can bring it. What have you made of him so far? What do you think his strengths are? Yeah, sorry, go on, mate.
You remember in Europe, we bought him for Europe. I think in terms of European football, what's required, one of our failures in Europe is that when you get past like the group stages, where obviously from August up until like December, we're at our best physically. By the time we get to February, that's when there's a bit of wear and tear. And by that time, the European teams, they're at their freshest, believe it or not. But one of the things I noticed in the last 2 campaigns in Europe is ball retention in midfield. Like we've been outpassed by Bayern Munich in 2024, and last season we're outpassed by PSG. People only want to talk about, we had so many chances and blah blah. Well, they don't seem to look at when PSG weathered the storm, and when Donnarumma, kept them in the game. Once they got their foot on the ball, they controlled the game. So Zubimendi is there for us to control possession, and not only control possession, but get us up the field. Stop Declan for trying to be what he's not. trying to be a retriever and a dictator of the play. No, Declan plays his best football up the top. People don't accept that Declan's he's not a number 6 in the traditional sense. They just see someone who used to be able to defend and say, right, he's my DM, and that's it. Number 6 is much more than that. To be a number 6, you have to dictate the play, to control the midfield. You're the conductor. You're the brain of the team. That's what a number 6 and one of number 6 should be. And that's why I'm a big fan of Zubimendi. He is that player. You know, Thomas Partey was a different kind of number 6, where he was brawn, you know, and protected the defence, got us up the field, but in a way helped us get control of the game. He was good for Odegaard. He was good for, for Saka in that respect. But Zubimendi has an overall picture. So sometimes I do get frustrated with some fans when they just make comparisons between one player and another.
You need to stop doing that. Yeah, you're right.
Because it's like they don't know football. It's like, and it's not. It is. If the boot fits, then put the shoes on. Put it on your feet. But I'm sorry, but there's a lot of people who think this one's an upgrade on that. No, Zubimendi and Partey are different players. Lewis Skelly and Calafiori are different left backs. They give us different aspects, which we need. But they're not the same player. There's no players the same players. Just stop it. But Arsenal fans, they say this one's washed and that one's washed. Please watch the games. Watch the games.
Well said, Kenny Ken. Well said. JC, coming to you. All their listeners, I just put some graphics up in regards to Mendy, in regards to line-breaking passes in this season, 25-26, UEFA Champions League and Premier League only. JC, coming to you. What's your thoughts on Martin Zubimendi? He played a great pass the other day for Gyökeres with that save in the second half against Atletico. Give me your thoughts, brother.
I think, even as Kenny Ken said, they are very different types of players playing in the same position, as in Zubimendi versus Thomas Partey. But in terms of whether or not it's an upgrade, for me, it's a huge upgrade. Yes, he's being asked to do a slightly different job. We can see that when Arsenal are in possession, he's very comfortable being sat between the two centre backs to dictate play, the tempo of the play, the urgency of the play. And he even came out and said himself the other day that when playing in La Liga, there's a lot more time on the ball to pick your pass. And it's one of the first things he's picked up since coming to the Premier League, is that you get 1 or 2 touches and you've got to get the ball forward in transition as quickly as possible. Not only because the manager and the tactical system is telling you to, but the fans as well as screaming for it, especially on the counter or in transition. And you bring up an interesting stat there about Zubimendi being the highest player to break the lines across all competitions for Arsenal this year, 81 at times. I think it was either all of last season or over the last 2 seasons, Zubimendi sat top of the tree across all central midfield players, having made something like 268 line-breaking passes. And that's, against players like Luka Modric, for example, among many, many other superstars in that division. So it's no surprise that he's doing it for Arsenal. And one thing that I really do like about Zubimendi as well, that I don't think he's given enough credit for, is the way that he reads the game when we lose the ball, or when he receives the ball for the first time when we win it back, because it allows the likes of Declan Rice to play that more advanced role as an 8, where he's more comfortable and where he can contribute more effectively in attacks. And something that I would like to see a little bit more often, and I was quite surprised it hasn't happened as often, because we saw it in a couple of games in pre-season, is Martin Odegaard stopped dropping so deep for the ball. And the presence of Zubimendi allows him to push on and occupy different spaces between the lines and in midfield. And I'd just like there to be a bit more confidence from the players to allow Zubimendi to do what he does best, so that people like Martin Odegaard can operate in the position where he's best suited in that right half space to give those passes to the likes of Gyökeres, Bukayo Saka, Timber when he's coming in, side inverted or on the overlap. We've got the players to do it. There just needs to be a bit more confidence in the system.
No, well said. That's one thing I said about Zubimendi. He actually, in terms of out of possession and breaking up play, there's a good example in the first half on Tuesday night when he put through, was it Saka or Eze? I can't remember, but he's very, very good. It's not just about his technical ability and doing the 1-touch, 2-touch, and spotting the pass early in transition. He's off the work ball's very, very key. And I guess it has to be when you're playing under a very intense coach in Mikel. But changing tack now, we've got another London derby. I call it the trilogy. What's that? West Ham, Fulham, now Crystal Palace. Kenny, we've had conversations. JC, we've had a conversation yesterday. Some of our, I know the Arsenal players won't be complacent. I know the manager won't be complacent. I'm a little message to some of our fans, just calm down a little bit. Palace have lost 1 in 20, I think it is. That's just for the international break against Everton, where they should never have lost that game. They had them all over the place in the first half, but they did. Coming to Kenny Ken, there's going to be some key battles, man. We've spoken about it. Ward and Rice, the 2 fullbacks on both sides, Mitchell, Nunez and Calafiore and Timber, Mateta and Gabriel and Gyökeres and Mark Gay. Big game, Kenny Ken, man. Talk to me.
Well, Crystal Palace are playing today, and obviously the quicker they win their games, the quicker they can get into the knockout stage of the Conference League. I still think it's an absolute injustice that are actually the Nottingham Forest are in the UEFA Cup and they're in the conference. I think it's a joke, really. But UEFA, make up as they go along. But in terms of Crystal Palace, one thing about Crystal Palace, and one of the reasons why I think they've stayed in the Premiership since they got promoted in 2013, 2014, is that they've always had pace, real pace.
Athletes.
And Tony Pulis always compared Crystal Palace from when he went to West Brom. And he said, one thing I had at Crystal Palace was pace. And Roy Hodgson had pace to work with. Pardew had pace to work with. Allardyce, a short time, he had pace to work with. Vieira had pace to work with. And that's what we went at Crystal Palace. Now, they're a better team because tactically they got a lot better. Glasner's taken to another level. They've got a lot of confidence, winning the FA Cup and obviously winning the Community Shield, albeit not a major trophy. It's given them a lot of confidence. But you think about Mateta before Glasner and Mateta since Glasner. It's night and day, isn't it?
Brilliant.
He's a player that we've definitely got to watch out for because he won't just stay up top. He'll come into the midfield. He'll try and drag players with him, and then he'll get the runners off him. Gahey, one of the best defenders in the country, without a shadow of a doubt. He is the master of calmness. Nothing phases him. And he's deceptively good at set pieces. So we need to watch him at set pieces. Of course, you mentioned the fullbacks, Tariq Mitchell bombing forward, Munoz bombing forward, and then you've also got to watch the pace and the runs of Ismail Assar, who we first saw when he played for Rennes. Do you remember the time in
Champions League?
2018, 2019, in the last 32 where he played Rennes. Remember, they beat us in the first leg, and he was very much a prominent player for them before he got his move to Watford. So you've got to watch for him and watch their runners. One thing about Crystal Palace that they need to do against us, when they're on top, and they have similar times when they're on top, one thing we've learned this season, if you get Arsenal ropes or you get a foot on their neck, make sure you squeeze hard and don't let it off. Because if you allow Arsenal to get their second wind, especially in the second half, they'll kill you. Newcastle had their foot on the throat. Big mistake. Fulham had instances where they were on top because they couldn't break us down and get clear-cut chances. We were able to regroup in the second half. Let's not talk about Atletico Madrid. Let's not forget to hit the bar before we got our 4 goals.
Alvarez,
even though it's for 25 yards out, but a goal would have done them well for confidence. So Crystal Palace are more than capable of putting us under pressure. Is whether they'll be able to put, get the goals that they'll need. Let's not forget they were 3-1, 2-0 down against Bournemouth.
Mad game.
Yeah, but we're not Bournemouth. If they go 2-0 down against us, it's game over. So that's what we need to do: is to take the game away from them pretty quickly, and then they'll have a decision to make. Either do what they did against us at Selhurst Park last season and try to play, and we beat them 5-1, or they played conservatively and said, you know what, allow this. We got a game next week. That's the position I want us to put them in, but we have to be clinical.
No, well said, Kenny. And I will be there at the game, and I'm going to give,
of course,
Kenny a big bear hug when I see him, man. Big game. JC, coming to him. I've been thinking about this game actually probably even like they say one game at a time, but I like to look at it in terms of blocks of three in it, 3 London derbies. But this is gonna be a tough game, man. They're a good side, man. Glasner's been brilliant since he's been there. Kenny Ken's touched on some of their players. Like I said, we've got some key battles, obviously Rice and Wharton. I'll be surprised if Adam Wharton's a Palace player in the next 12 months. He's that good. There's different around him. But JC, your thoughts about the battles, and I'm going to get the 2 team lineups, all the listeners on the screen of the last games, Arsenal against Fulham and when Palace play Bournemouth. Go ahead, JC, brother.
No, there's some absolutely great points, and I think Kenny Ken hits the nail on the head. We can have a look at the individual battles, but I think those individual battles are going to be dictated by the way in which Glasner sets Palace up on the day. And going back to what Kenny Ken said, are they going to go for it, open themselves up as such and create a game of football like a basketball match, or are they going to be that frustrating low block controlled side? It's a really, really interesting one. And some of the stats for both teams this season, with Arsenal having faced the fewest amount of shots in this fixture, 65, and Palace lead the way this season for the most shots on target, 43. So it really does.
Mad.
It does. You do wonder which way it's going to go. And the part of me does think, given the fact that they're in Europe for the first time in a long time, that they will feel maybe a tad tired. They don't have the squad depth as some of the other teams do have in the Premier League. And they'll be a little bit more fixated on European competition in games. And that doesn't mean that they're going to turn up to the Emirates and just throw the game away. By no means are they going to do that. And as you mentioned earlier on, I think any fans that just think that we're going to turn up and walk through Palace because of how good we've been over the last few years, it's very cliche, but there is no such thing as an easy game in the Premier League, home or away for that matter, and credit where credit's due. When you look at the way that Glasner has Palace operating at the moment, it's going to be a really, really hard game. Mateta,
JC, just to come in quickly, sorry.
Yep.
Obviously, I've got the 2 team lineups from the last 2 games, but do you think Trossard will keep his place when Martinelli comes in?
It's a good question because
with the way they set up Palace, especially,
it's a difficult one because of the formation that they use and the way in which their fullbacks get forward. There is potentially on the break or catching Palace out to expose space at left and right back because the way that their fullbacks like to get forward. But how many of those types of situations are we going to come across? You can see if they go with the formation you've put up on screen, they're out of possession. That's potentially 5 at the back there to really frustrate Arsenal. And I think when you look at Martinelli, you only have to look at the goal he scored the other night against Atletico Madrid. There was space. There was space for him there to run into and ask the question. And I think you won't get that against Palace anywhere near as much, unless you're talking maybe the last 20 minutes and Arsenal are leading maybe by only 1 goal. It opens up that space for Palace to go for it. Then you bring Martinelli on. So I think Trossard will probably get the nod, given that Martinelli also started the other night against Atletico Madrid.
No, well said. Kenny, I'll get that quickly back up on screen. Obviously, the last 2 teams, the 2 teams that we played. There was 2 changes made for the game. Obviously, with Atletico Madrid with Calafiore coming in and Martinelli coming in. Do you think it'll revert back to type with Calafiore starting and bringing back Trossard, or do you think it might be a bit different?
No, people need to remember one thing is that Trossard scored their winner against Fulham.
Yeah,
that's not in the distant memory. It's a recent memory, especially where we were like off the ball. Fulham, although they play similarly to Crystal Palace in the way that they did try and get the fullbacks bombing on forward against us on Saturday. Sessegnon was bombing his heart down forward, and obviously down on the right you had Castagna. He was bombing forward as well. So we were, Trossard was part of that team that was able to quell that. And Trossard has scored, is a goal scorer as well. Scores the similar amount of goals than Martinelli. It's just that in terms of like game intelligence and like footballing ability, he's a little better than Martinelli. Martinelli's pace and he's very raw and he's a street footballer. But I don't expect it to change in terms of like Moses Skelly. Calafiore is undroppable.
Mm-hmm.
As much as you love the story of Miles and his mum, the fact they're both local, he's both from Islington, born and bred, went local school here, and he had a very, very good 24, 25. Now Calafiori's fully fit. He's undroppable. Look at his performance at Old Trafford. A game we weren't great in. Who kept Salas quiet at Anfield? It's Calafiori. The Calafiori gives the manager what he wants from
and a goal threat as well. And a
goal
threat
as well. But you think when he inverts, it's not an issue as it was with Miles Lewis-Skelly because he doesn't leave spaces.
Yeah.
When Miles Lewis-Skelly inverts, especially when teams were playing like last season, all you had to do was just get the ball diagonally, and he'll be, oh God, where's behind me? Boom, and he'll have to commit the foul because he's on the wrong side. And sometimes you will get caught in possession. You have to look at the goal in pre-season against Tottenham. That's not a criticism of him because you don't have to look at the good things he did when he played, set up Martin his goal. But there's no coincidence that he was about to be substituted before that happened.
Uh-huh.
So there's still a lot of development to be done with Miles. But in terms of Calafiori, as I said before, if you want to stop the low block and you want to make yourself great defensively, your centre halves are only part of the issue, part of the formation. It's your fullbacks have to be great defensively as well as going forward. And I can say right now, our fullbacks this season are excellent defensively. I'm not saying we're never going to concede goals. We will concede goals. We will lose matches. Yeah. But over a whole, in all the competitions, we are going to be difficult to beat and frustrating to play against. And they're part of that reason, our fullbacks, the current ones.
Yeah, no, well said. People, we're going to wrap up very shortly. I know Kenny Ken's a busy man. He's the podcast central of Arsenal YouTube. But people, before I get the score predictions from my two esteemed Arsenal brothers, if you don't know what to do, this is what you should do by now. There you have it, people. Like, share, and subscribe. As I said, Arsenal Analyze has got a channel, JC, 4,000 subscribers. People, the channel is highlighted in blue, as you already know. And in the bio, follow my King Kenny Ken on Instagram as well. JC, score prediction, brother. What are you saying for Sunday?
I'm going to go 2-0 Arsenal. Main reason for it is I think there might be a slight hangover from European competition. They've played later in the week compared to ourselves. And when you look at our defensive record at the moment, just how many goals we've conceded in 12 games and the amount of shots that we've faced, I just think will be a bit too much. Plus, when you look at the result from last season and the narrative behind the points that we dropped against the likes of Fulham and West Ham, as well as this fixture, the reverse fixtures from last season, it just feels as though the mentality has changed and we're righting those wrongs. So I'm going to go for a confident 2-0 Arsenal.
Well said. And coming to you, Kenny Ken, quickly, it's a big weekend. City away to Villa. Their record's not great there. And Liverpool away to Brentford. And we are playing the day
after. Very, very saucy games. Very saucy games. The Brentford game is going to be... Brentford are a very organised side. And they love to keep teams on the counter-attack. One thing about Liverpool as well, yesterday was a good game for them. I expect it to be a high-scoring game. It could be something like 2-2. Who knows? Or Liverpool do their flukiness or get fluked. But Donnarumma and Haaland, it's going to be a great game at Villa Park. Yeah. As long as Donnarumma and Haaland are at their best, I think the City could nick it. And then Liverpool should nick it against Brentford. Now, Arne Slot is not playing it, keeping everyone happy. If he just plays a team that he should be playing, they should win. But it'll be hard. But the good thing is, I'll be at the boxing. I'll be near you watching in the O2. I'm going to be watching Fabio Wardley and Joseph Parker fight.
Ooh, what a fight that's going to be!
Exactly. I was glad I've got a fellow boxing fan.
You have Jason, the big boxing.
Oh yeah, mate, I'm massive on boxing. Huge.
I was hoping you'd say that. But in terms of the game itself, I agree with JC. We're going to be very difficult to beat. But there'll be a lot of moaning because we're going to be a lot of wear and tear. If we can keep a clean sheet, we win this. We will beat Crystal Palace pretty comfortably and frustratingly. But yeah, I'm going for a 2-0. But I'm no circumstances concede and don't give Palace an inch because they got no respect for Arsenal. They're coming to win, not gung ho.
Yeah,
win their way, and they're coming for a win. So just keep that head thinking cap on. They're not messing around.
Well said. I'm going to be different just for the sake of being different and being the host, of course. Arsenal 2-1. Arsenal 2-1. I think the fact that the two teams are playing the day before us, put the pressure on them. Then we're going to take care of business the following day on the Sunday. So people, big up to the people in the chat that were there. And also, like I said, when you watch this back, subscribe to Arsenal Analyze, follow Kenny Ken on Instagram. And of course, your host, Albert JTV. Smash the likes and subscribe to Albert JTV. But listen, weekly surgery is closed for the Thursday evening. Episode 43. We'll be back soon for episode 44. Come on, the Arsenal. Let's go and do the business in the London derby. Where's the outro? Right there. See you soon, people.